him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em on Cobb, it's time for the only news that matters on Black Sabbath Sunday. And wow, it's amazing I have any news story this week, because there's really no Black Sabbath news this week except, alright, the final show, that show that's going on is gonna be streamed, so you can watch it. And also, Sharon Osbourne came out and said, I wish I could have got Judas Priest and Angus Young. Angus Young? Why not Brian Johnson too? Whatever. Sharon Osbourne we're talking about here. And Rob Halford said not too long ago he's heartbroken that he's not part of it. So if Sharon wanted them there, then it must be a scheduling conflict. You know? Maybe Rob Halford did say it's a scheduling. I just read the headline, Halford, you know, but that's pretty much it. But I got some Black Sabbath news that happened before that I just read online, because I never bought the book For Fact's Sake from Bob Daisley, mainly because, I don't know about now, I'll take a look, but it was extremely expensive. It was like 50, 60 bucks when it was new, and I was like, oh, I'm not paying that much. And my heart has changed a lot for Bob Daisley. I still question his honesty. It all stems from the Rainbow DVD. I think it's called Live at Munich, and there's extras on there. And the extras has a Bob Daisley interview. And Bob Daisley said in that interview that Richie Blackmore changed the picture of a roadie. He put, because the guy looked like E.T., and he put a picture of E.T. in the passport to mess with him. But the problem is, that was 1977. E.T. didn't come out till 1982 or 3. So that's when I was like, I wonder about Bob. But then, you know, as years gone by, I can tell those genius lyrics are not from Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, some I can see, yeah, because what's his name? Don Airey. Don Airey came out and said that Ozzy did write lyrics, and he came up with all the melodies. So he said Bob Daisley didn't do all the writing. But man, when I listen to songs like Flying High Again, like Swallowing Colors of the Sound I Hear, Am I Just a Crazy Guy, You Bet? That's Bob. It has to be Bob. And all those lyrics on those Ozzy albums that he wrote are genius, man. I love his lyrics. And, you know, Randy Rhoads is the star, and when you listen to Ozzy, man, you checking out all what Randy's doing, but man, I didn't notice it still many years gone by. The bass playing on those first two Ozzy Osbourne albums are stellar. Bob Daisley's a huge talent, but he needs Ozzy Osbourne to be successful with that talent, because that's the only time he ever really became successful, when he's songwriting with somebody, was the Ozzy albums. But anyway, so I read this, and this is something that's in Bob Daisley's book, which I haven't read. Said June 5th, 1981, Blizzard of Oz, Mark II played Fort Worth, Texas at the Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum. The year before, the original Blizzard of Oz with Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake was ready to support the debut album. But during the summer of 1980, the UK was hit with a recession, and that meant the label needed to tighten down their budgets. This is all in Bob Daisley's book, For Fact's Sake. It says, the band agreed to reduce royalties of 10% from 12% by Don Arden, promising it would be raised back up after the second album. To help out, David Arden told Bob Daisley that his sister, Sharon Osbourne, actually suggested to her dad to drop the band and that wanker, Ozzy Osbourne. Does this really surprise anyone? Do not forget, when Jet signed Ozzy after Sabbath threw him out, she pursued a romantic relationship with Tony Iommi, and he wanted nothing to do with it. Hey, there you go. That's some juicy stuff there. I hope it's no E.T. type fiction, you know. But the thing, you know, this burns me about Sharon Osbourne is that, you know, Ozzy had a fling with a hairdresser, right? And she went out in the media and still, I saw this like a month or two ago, she still brings up how Ozzy cheated on me with the hairdresser. Now, I wish I could remember what band it was. I heard this interview. I can't remember where it was. But there was an interview with a band that was one of the bands on Ozfest. And Sharon wanted to bang one of the members. And the member refused. And they got knocked off Ozfest because of that. You know? Come on. Ozzy probably just cheated like what? A dozen times? I think Sherry's just banged, you know, behind Ozzy's back a million times. Now, I do want to clarify in defense of Sharon Osbourne, was people bring up, well, you know, Sharon slept with Randy Rhoads. Yeah, but when, and I hate defending the woman, but when Sharon had sex with Randy Rhoads, Ozzy at that time, while Randy was banging Sharon, at that time Ozzy was home with his wife and kids. Okay? So yeah, I got to defend the witch there. But you know, she's cheated on Ozzy a gazillion times. A gazillion times. You know, but Ozzy's like brain dead. You know, he doesn't want to know if Sharon's banging behind his back. That's the impression I get. He's like, dude, this chick is my meal ticket. I love her with all my heart, you know. But Sharon, it makes it believable to me that she would tell her father, drop this Ozzy guy. Drop the wanker Ozzy, because, you know, Ozzy hadn't taken off yet. You know, when Crazy Train became a hit single, oh, she loved Ozzy then. Now, don't get it twisted and let's cut the deck. They've been together for over 4 decades, right? There has to be some love between both of them. There has to be. But also, Sharon obviously is the puppet master. Strings are on Ozzy. She makes Ozzy go out there saying, I'm doing it for my fans one last time. I really need to do it. And many of you out there fall for it. I don't fall for it at all. I think it's Sharon making them say shit like that Ozzy can care less, because way back decades ago on that Osbourne show, that popular Osbourne, I remember one episode Ozzy was bitching about he doesn't like playing live. He hates touring, you know? And now it's like, oh yeah, he loves it. He loves it, all right. Anyway, screw her and hail Bob Daisley, all right? Bob Daisley rules. Okay. You know, I want to live in a fantasy world where Bob Daisley only told one lie in his life, and it was that E.T. story he said on that Rainbow DVD. That's the only time, you know, I would think that, you know, and I also in my fantasy world thinking, well, maybe he took some medication, he was a little lopsided. I want to believe what he said about Sharon wanting to dump Ozzy was right. Because, I'll tell you, man, she's here getting Ozzy back on his career, right? And before it took over with the hit of Crazy Train, he, at the time, was a raging alcoholic. I mean, He was such a raging alcoholic that 3 other alcoholics in Black Sabbath threw him out of the band. Kind of like Metallica, they threw Dave out of the band and they all drank. But, you know, there's different ways to deal with different drunks, and Ozzy was not an easy drunk to deal with. I've heard stories of him just standing around and you see his pants and he's pissing himself. He's so drunk he doesn't even notice he's peeing on himself. You know, Ozzy was a complete mess, you know. So, you know, I can see her say, oh, I don't want to deal with this idiot anymore. Then that money came in. I love you, Ozzy. Ozzy, I love you. I'm a cunt. I want to hear her say that once. Come on, Sharon. You are. You should say it. Anyway, what do you all think? Leave it in the comments below. Do you believe Bob, or do you think he's telling another E.T. story? I want to believe Bob, goddammit. And thank you for watching The Only News That Matters. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and ring that little notification bell. And like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Ozzy Osbourne while Bob Daisley was steering the ship. And smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.